Sorry for the stop right there, but I just cleared up like a lot of my space and I got like 2 gigabytes. So Naruto says, I don't have to listen to you, Zabuza. And Hinata says, Naruto, maybe we should keep going. I don't want us to get caught. And he says, oh, okay, Hinata-chan. And, and he says, okay, Hinata, we can keep going if that's what you want. And Zabuza, he says, how will you listen to her and not me? And Naruto says, because that's somebody I admire. And basically, after he says that's somebody I admire, Naruto says, you admire me, Naruto? And he says, yes, very much. And basically, after he says that, alright, Naruto, like after he says I admire you, and Hinata says, thank you. And he says, no, thank you, Hinata, for being here. And Zabuza says, enough with the sweet chat. We need to get moving. And he says, Zabuza, listen. And Hinata says, Naruto, we should get moving. He says, okay, Hinata. And he picks her back up, and he starts moving. He starts like just going, and they go out this for 45 minutes, and they get into the Stone Village border. Oh no, the Cloud Village. My bad. They get into the Cloud Village border, and when they get into their border, they say maybe we should set camp here. And Zabuza says we should set camp here, and Naruto says I don't know if we should, maybe. And Hinata says, Naruto, do you think we should set camp or keep going? And Hinata says, and Naruto says, whichever one you would like, Hinata. And she says, I am kind of tired. Okay, let's set camp. And he says, and Zabuza says, Naruto, I literally just said the same thing she said. He says, how does my words any different than hers? He says, listen here. Don't compare yourself to Hinata. Okay? Just don't. And Zabuza says, yeah, whatever. And when he says, yeah, whatever, Naruto says, now hurry up. He says, hurry up. We don't have all day. He says, Hinata, you can sit here and wait. Us men, he says, Hinata, sit here and wait. Haku, guard Hinata. If a scratch is on her, when I'll come back, I'll kill you. And Haku says, yeah, okay. And basically, it's a Haku, Naruto and Zabuza get back. Where they go to like get wood and food and stuff like that. Start a fire, build a shelter, you know. So they build. I'm just say, they build 4 tents, and don't ask me how. They just build 4 tents. They build 4 tents, and they all go into their separate tents. I'm gonna say, the first tent is Naruto, second tent, and it has to be in order like this. First tent is Naruto. Second tent is Zabuza. Third tent is Hinata. Then the fourth tent is Haku. So we see Naruto. He says, well, good night, everyone. And Hinata says, good night, Naruto. As they go to sleep, and Naruto, when he goes to sleep, he doesn't go to sleep. He goes to sleep, but his mind doesn't go to sleep. He goes into the Nine Tails chakra, or the Nine Tails, he goes into the Nine Tails room, and instead of it being that big old foamy Nine Tails, it's the real Nine Tails, like 4 Nine Tails. I'm not cause, yeah, it's just the 4 Nine Tails. Don't ask me how, it just is. So basically, Naruto says, you must be the Nine Tails fox. He says, you must be the Nine Tails fox. And when he says that, he says, you know a lot of your history. He says, you know a lot, little boy. And he says, Naruto says, what's your name? He says, me. Let's see. My name is Kurama. And Naruto says, well, Kurama, I hope we can become perfect. I hope I can become a perfect Jinchuriki. And Naruto says, for you to do that, you're gonna have to give into hatred, little boy. But that's all I care about is hatred. And Naruto says, I'll get rid of it one day. Cause I don't want to be a hatred monster with Hinata by my side. When he says this, he says, Kurama says this. Kurama say, so you care for someone. And Naruto says, I do. And Hinata says, or Kurama says, sorry. Kurama says, Kurama says, well, to get stronger, you're gonna have to get rid of that. And Naruto says, no, I won't. I can just train with her on my mind 24/7. And where I can train without her off my mind. It really doesn't matter. And Kurama says, just kill her. Kill Hinata. Then you can just become into hatred. And Naruto, he gets super angry. He blitzes their Nine Tails fault. And Nine Tails puts up his paw. And Naruto tries to attack it. He gets bounced back. And Kurama says, I'm way too powerful for you, little boy. Don't try me. And Naruto says, yeah, whatever. He says, yeah, whatever. And Kurama says, now, back to what I was saying. You didn't get to let me finish. If you kill Hinata and give it to hatred, you can revive her. She'll still be with you, but she'll still be hatred. And he says, you idiot. And Naruto says, he chuckles and he gets, I'm gonna say he got some split personalities. He chuckles and he goes back to his calm personality. And he chuckles and says, you idiot. It's basically the same thing if I get into hatred. And Kurama says, no, it won't be, because Hinata will be a different person. Or I'm gonna say, and he says, yeah. Naruto says, yeah, exactly. That's basically the same thing of me giving to hatred. And Kurama says, I guess you're right, kid. And basically, Kurama, he says, well, I'll see you later. It looks like that same girl, Hinata's at your tent. And Naruto says, oh, okay, thanks for telling me that. And he says, wait, how do you know that? And he says, I just know. I know everything. And Naruto says, so if me and a girl were doing the dirty, would you see? And Kurama says, maybe not. As he grins and he says, just go back to Hinata. She's about to open your tit. He says, hurry. And Naruto says, okay, thank you for your time. And Kurama says, hurry up. He says, hurry up. We don't have time for chatting. And Naruto says, yeah, okay. He goes back. And Hinata opens the tent. And Naruto wakes up and he says, he sits up and says, oh, hi Hinata, do you need anything? And she says, I just wanted to see you. I couldn't sleep. I just wanted to get my mind off of some things. And he says, oh, it's okay. He says, it's okay, you can come in here. And she says, yeah, I was gonna do that. And she goes in there and basically, Naruto, he closed the tent. And she starts talking about, like, her feelings. Not for Naruto, but like, how she was so that mad. How she was so mad when her dad kicked her out. And she was happy when she became with Naruto. When Zab was there. So basically, Naruto says, wow, Hinata, you have a lot of things buried deep inside. And she says, yeah, I just wanted to relieve myself. And Naruto says, Hinata, I want to tell you something. And, no, he doesn't say that. Nah, he says, well, since you have all that to say, you can sleep in here. I don't want you to be too scared. And she blushes and says, I can. And he says, yeah. And she says, okay. As I'm gonna say, I said Naruto's 10. I said Naruto. Wait, I don't think I ever announced Naruto's age. Not 16. No, I'm playing. I'm gonna do some freaky stuff. It's too early. Naruto, he's 10 years old, or he's 13, and he already knows about the goody and stuff. Yeah. So basically, Naruto. So basically, Naruto. He's like, you can just cuddle up with me over here. As he grins, and she says, okay. And she cuddles with Naruto. Basically, it's like Elizabeth, how Naruto, how Meliodas beat her Elizabeth. That's basically what Naruto be doing. So yeah. So basically Naruto, or not Naruto, my boy Zabuza, he says, Ambu. And Naruto, he jumps up. He says, Ambu, huh? That must be Tsunade's crew. How did they get here so fast? And he says they must have not of rest. God. He says, oh God. And he says, Hinata, wake up. And she says, maybe later, Naruto. And he says, oh, forgot to mention, 18 plus series. It's gonna be rage, hateism, bad words, sex, and that's probably about it. And yeah, I want to say Naruto, he runs at the tent, and he's just like looking around because he don't know the Ambu they striking too fast. But on his little human eyes to see, he says, where are you? He says, what do you want? No, he says, what do you want and why are you here? And the Ambu will say he hears Tsunade's voice. And he say, Tsunade was with them if I didn't. Tsunade was with the Ambu if I didn't say that. Basically, Tsunade jumps down and says, I wanted you to come back to the village, Naruto. And Naruto looks at her and says, me come back to the village. A demon to all of you. I'm gonna say Hinata looks up. He says, and she like just listening, cause she don't be found. So he says, me, a demon to everybody in this world, besides one person. And he says, Zabuza says, I don't think you're a demon, kid. And he says, shut up, I wasn't finished talking. I'm gonna say his eyes start turning. His eyes, like, they start turning red, but they're not, like, fully red with slits in them. So Naruto, he says, after all that village done to me, you want me, Naruto Uzumaki, to come back. Almost he said his full name. He said, "You and me, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, so come back." And Hinata says, yeah, Naruto. I'm sorry for everything done to you. I'll tell the villagers to treat you right, and I promise you they will." And Naruto laughs and says, even if you do tell them to treat me right, they still won't listen. I'm just a demon brat. After all, nobody cares for me besides one person. He still hasn't mentioned this one person. He says nobody cares for me besides one person. Nobody loves me besides one person. And nobody will get in my way or ever try to stop me or do anything to me besides one person. He says, I cannot tell you who this person is, or you will try to hunt and kill this person down. He's been like very dialect and not telling him a detail about him. He says, for you will try to hunt and kill this person down, and I will not let that happen, because you want me to go out to the village, and he says, and that person will probably be bait. He says, huh? Yeah, am I right, Hokage? Hokage says, you're smart, kid. You're smart for not telling us the person's name. He says, and Hokage says, it's Hinata, isn't it? And Naruto says, no. He says, no. You have one more guess and I kill you. And he says you have one more guess and I kill you, or you can leave now, or you can leave right now. And she said, yeah, I'm a dip. She says, okay, Naruto, just reconsider about coming to the village. And Naruto says, I don't want to. As he started walking back to his tent. And basically when he started walking back to his tent, so I forgot where I was. I forgot where I left off. So I'm gonna just say Naruto. Oh, I remember. He started walking back, and Zabuza says, "Kid, I really don't think you're a demon." And Naruto says, like angry in his angry emotion state or past personality state. He says, "You got 3 states. 2 of them have already been addressed, but I'm not going to address the other one yet. It's going to come out, but I ain't going to address it yet." So basically, Naruto, he says, basically Naruto, he's like, shut up, Zabuza. As he's in his angry personality. He has angry personalities, calm personality, and the other one's a secret. And basically, Zabuza says, yeah, whatever. And basically, he says, we just need to rest and hurry, because they found out where we live, or found out where we're going. If they found out where we were going, they probably will try to stop us again and try to beg you to get back to the leaf. And basically, as he says that, basically after Zabuza says this, turn it off. After Zabuza says this, Naruto says, it doesn't matter. He says it doesn't matter. We'll do what you say in the morning. Just go to sleep. And Zabuza says, I just said that. And Naruto says, I know. Just go to sleep, man. Basically, he goes back to his tent. And Naruto is woke. And after Hinata is woke, basically, Naruto says, hold on. And basically, as he walks into the tent, Hinata says, Naruto-kun, who's the special person that you were talking about? And Naruto, he chuckles and he says, "Oh yeah, that was you, Hinata." And she says she blushed. She get like super red, and she says, "Really? You really think that's me?" And he says, or she says, Naruto says, "Yeah, I do." And she says, "Thank you, Naruto." And she kisses him on the cheek, and Naruto, he blushes. He get red. He get red. And he like, "Ooh, you got me a kiss from my girl I like. Can't tell her yet though. I gotta get older." And I'm gonna say, basically, Naruto, after he starts blushing, and then what's her name? Hinata. Hinata says, or Naruto says, "I really like that." But he says it's in his head, and Karama says, "That's the first shit you should have told me." Karama says, "Kid, you are," or he says, "Kid, you're something else." And he says, yeah, I know. Just listen. Just listen. And basically, Karama says, "Kid, you need to listen." He says, "I want to tell you something, and you have to listen very carefully." And Naruto says, "Serious much?" And Karama says, "I'm being." He yells in his mind and says, he says, "Listen." He yells it though, and Naruto says, but they give Naruto like an ache in the head for like a couple seconds, and he says, "Don't do that again, man. That's gonna give me a headache." And Crown says, "Yeah, whatever. Listen." He says, "If you go to the Cloud Village, or if you go just about north of the Cloud Village, you'll find a cave. If you go into this cave, you'll see a Otsutsuki." I literally don't know how to say her name. Otsutsuki. You'll see an Otsutsuki seal. I'm the only one powerful enough, since I have the 9 tails, since I'm the strongest, to open it. If I have my 8 brothers, well, my 8 brothers and me can open it. But since I'm 9 tails, I can open it by myself." And he says, basically, he says, "What are we gonna do?" He says, "Okay, so what's in there?" He says, "When you go there, I'll tell you. This trip will take at least a couple months." And Naruto says, "So that's all you're gonna tell me until we get into the cave?" And Kurama says, "Yes, for what I tell you, you will want it in an instant, and you will be, and when you want it, or you will want to do it in an instant, or right now, but you can't, because you need to get stronger for your body to hold it." And he says, hold it." He says, "Hold what, Karama?" He says, "You'll see." And Naruto says, "Just such you're annoying." And she says, "Naruto, are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah, sorry, I just went silent for a second." As he rubs his cheek, and she chuckles and says she must have liked that. And he says, he just like starts stuttering, and he says, let's go to sleep." He says, "Let's just go to sleep." And basically, they cuddle up, and they just go to sleep. They cuddle up and go to sleep. And basically, after they go to sleep, they wake up, and Zabuza says, "Kid, we need to start heading to a village." well, we need to start heading to the Cloud Village. When he says this, Naruto, like they all up besides Hinata. Naruto says, yeah, whatever. He says, actually, he don't say that. He says, yeah, I know. Kurama told me that there was a secret or something there that only he could unlock. He says, and Zabuza says, it's not the Nine-Tails Fox name. And Zabuza, and Kurama says, yeah, it is. I mean, Naruto says, yeah, it is. So basically, Naruto, he says, we'll be heading there after Hina wakes up. And he says, okay. He says, Naruto says, get Haku and tell him that we're gonna be, heading to the village. And Haku, he's like getting them herbs. He says, okay. So basically, after he starts getting them herbs, Zabuza pops up to Haku, and he says, Haku, we're about to leave. Come on. We're leaving after Hinata wakes up. And Haku says, okay, let me just get this last herb. And he picks up like 2 more herbs and says, okay, I'm ready. And basically he just goes. He just goes to basically they just go back to the campsite, and the fire is out, and Hinata, she's woke. And basically Naruto says, alright, are you guys ready? And they destroy the campfire and the tents and everything. They just burn everything. They burn everything and stuff like that. But they keep the blankets because they go get cold on their way there. They keep the blanket, food, and water. And maybe some satchels. So they just start heading, and we do a 2-hour time skip. And they are all like 2 miles away. Like they can see the what is it called? The stone village gates. So they know they're close. So Naruto says, we're close to the stone village. And Zabuza says, yeah, I know, I can see it. He says, yeah, I know, I can see their gates. And he says, we probably have about a mile or 2 left. And he says, Zabuza says, okay. And after he says okay, basically, Naruto, they just have I'm gonna say they get to the Cloud Village. When they get to the Cloud Village, and basically when they get to the Cloud Village, whoever guards the gates, I'm gonna say they pop up and they say, who are you, huh? Stop there. And he says, and the dude, I know it's like a dude and a girl. The dude says, I'm gonna say it's Tuna and Bamboo. Well, not, it's the dude and the girl. The dude says, look, it's the sword, is one of the 7 deadly swordsmen of the mist. And Zabuza says, look, I don't want any trouble. I just came here with Naruto, and Naruto says, don't say my name. He says, don't say my name. You're letting them know too much. And the Ambu says, wait, Naruto, the night touching trick. And Naruto face palms and says, see, Zabuza, see what you've done. And basically, Zabuza says, sorry, Naruto. He says, it's fine. And then Naruto says, Naruto, come. Naruto says, Naruto, it's not that bad. he says, Naruto's not that bad, right? And Naruto says, yeah, I guess it's not Hinata. And Zabuza, he just like, I'm done with this. I just accept the fact that Hinata, or that he'll never listen to me. He'll only listen to her. And I'm saying Naruto's head, he's still thinking about this thing, this seal that Naruto, or that Kurama told him about. So basically, they get to the Cloud Village. And basically, when they get to the Cloud Village, they see Kurama, or they see B, and B says, listen here, yo, I'm gonna have to take you to the Hokage to check you out. You know, he's the Raikage, not the Hokage. He's the beast, man. He's speedier. He says he's speedy than a cheetah on a lion's boat, and he's faster, and he's stronger than a boulder. 10 times your wealth. And yes, sir, he says 10 times your wealth. And Zabuza says, boy, you really be killing it. And he says, yeah, my name is Killer B, yo. And he says, let me take you to the Hokage, or to the Raikage, you know, to show you how the rules flow. And basically, it like, ooh, okay, he hit it. And basically, they go to the Raikage office. They go to Raikage office, and basically, Naruto, he's like, they get to Hokage, and Naruto says, or Raikage, and Naruto says, I just want a place to live. I'm not looking for any trouble. And Raikage says, yeah, I'll give you a place to live. But, he says, yeah, I'll give you a place to live, but you have to pay up. And Naruto says, I really don't have any money. He says, I really don't have any money on me. What else, is there anything else to you that you want? I'm gonna say Killer B 10 too. And Killer B, Raikage says, Killer B, is there anything that you want from this boy? And Killer B look at Hinata, and Hinata looks at Naruto. And Naruto looking at the Hokage. And Killer B says, yeah, I want that girl. And Naruto, he laughs and says, oh no, you're not getting her. She's all mine and mine forever. And Hinata, she starts blushing. And Killer B says, what are you blushing for? You're supposed to be mine. I want you, so I get you. And Raikage says, he whistles, he says, fruit. And they hold Naruto down, and basically they drag, or they get Hinata and they put her over there by Killer B. And Killer B kisses Hinata on the cheek and says, he says, well, looks like you're my girl now. And I'm gonna say Naruto mad. He get that nine tail, what? He get the nine tail eyes, or the slit eyes. I'm gonna say instead of them, they like just regular red. They bloody red, like they red, bro. Like you see how the Sharingan is? You see how that Sharingan is? Yeah, that is that red. So basically, after he says, they like, he's awakening his Jinchuriki power. Oh no! And he says, Naruto says, give her back right now. And Killer B says, sorry, and he activates. I really don't know what nine tails is, or 8 tails is, but Killer B activates his 8 tails eyes, and Naruto says, you don't have as much pain and suffering as I do. He says, my Jinchuriki is built off of anger and hatred, and I have a lot of that built deep down inside. Let me just release a little. As he releases, he releases 17% or 15% of his bloodlust. Well, not his hatred built down inside, and Kurama says, Naruto, you destroyed the building. And he says, and not if I use just the right amount. And he goes to One Tail's cloak, and he says, give it back right now. And he says, give it back right now. And a deep dark tone. And Killer B says, no, she's mine. And he gets like, instead of going One Tail cloak, he goes like, his body gets like changed into chakra. And basically like, not his body, but like, his skin gets like chakra on it. Or, yeah, his body gets chakra around it. I'm gonna say that. And Naruto says, that little thing. And Rakage says, stop right now. He says, you have a battle. Whoever wins gets Hinata. And Naruto says, even if I lose, I'm still taking Hinata and leaving this village. Or he doesn't have to leave. He says, I'm still taking Hinata. And, I'm still taking Hinata. And he says, I want to add a little something. And Rakage says, what is it? He says, I don't have to pay any bills for my house. And it's free. And my house is free. No rent, no anything. And Naruto and Rakage says, Rakage says, okay. Rakage says, okay. But Hinata will be standing with Killer B until the battle proceeds. And Naruto says, no, he won't. She was with me originally, so that's who she'll be staying with. And Killer B says, you heard the Raikage. And Naruto, he looks at the Raikage, and Raikage knows when Naruto gets too angry, is the Nine Tails chakra will take over. And the Nine Tails is too powerful for the Eight Tails and this village. So he says, Killer B, give Hinata back to the boy. And he says, fine. And he throws Hinata. And he says, Killer B says, I was just gonna wait till we got older, and I was gonna make her my little plaything. And I better not put on like a bad image on Killer B, but you gotta do what you gotta do in the what if, man. Basically, he says that, and Naruto gets angry, and Hinata says, it's alright, Naruto, let's just come on. He says, let's go. As I would say Naruto he had a little bit of money, but he ain't got bread. I would say got like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 from him. So he bought him they bought him a little room, or like a little apartment. Well, not no. A hotel space. Bought him a quick little hotel space, and basically, when he bought her the space, basically, they just went to sleep. Zabuza and Haku went to sleep. Like they had 2 rooms. Haku and Zabuza went to sleep, and then after they went to sleep, basically, Naruto, he said, Naruto walked into a room, and into like their own room, and he says, he goes to the door, he grabs Hinata, and he puts him against the wall, and she says, Naruto, what are you doing? And she says, Hinata, I have something to tell you. And she says, what is it, Naruto? You can tell me anything. She said, and as she's smiling and blushing, like super, she's not super red, but she's red. And then he says, I love you, Hinata. And Hinata, she passes out from hearing this. And Naruto punches the wall and says, why'd you have to do that? He just puts her on the bed and he waits for like 3 minutes, and she wakes up and she says, Naruto, what happened? Cause she don't have, I'm gonna say she forgot what happened. And he says, oh, you forgot, huh? Guess I have to tell you again. He says, Hinata, as he gets super close to her face. And he says, please don't pass out this time. And she says, okay, I try my hardest. And he says, I love you, Hinata. I love you more than just a friend or a partner. I want you to be my wife, Hinata, and have kids when we get older. Or, he says, and have a future when we get older. Just me and you, Hinata. And she starts blushing, and she starts crying. And Naruto says, is it that you don't know? He says, he looked down and says, oh, you don't feel the same way. I'm sorry, Hinata, for wasting your time like this. He's about to get up and leave. And Hinata grabs his arm. And he says, oh, as he turns around, you see Hinata blushing mad hard. And basically, as she blushing mad hard, basically, she blushing mad hard, and she says, I love you too, Naruto. And basically, I'm gonna say this is not an 18 plus thing. Are you horny freakies out there? They're 10 years old. Oh man, freaky people. She kisses Naruto on the lips, and Naruto, he, and then she begs to kiss, and Naruto touches his lips. He's like, I just got a kiss by the girl I like, and she says, you're silly, Naruto, and she chuckles. And she said, after she says that, she says, Naruto, and no. She says, Naruto says this. Naruto says, Hinata, does this mean we're dating? And he says, and Hinata says, yeah, it does. And he says, but you have to, and he says, Hinata says, but you're gonna take care of me, right? And he picks her up and says, always. And he says, and don't lose to that killer B-boy. I'm yours and yours forever. And basically, I got a good one for our next what if. Cause I started a shield hero. Yes, sir. I just started a shield hero. So yeah, so basically Naruto, we skip, they start cuddling and they go to sleep while put on Netflix, and they watching Bunked on Netflix. And basically they just go to sleep, and then they wake up, Naruto wake up, and he says, Naruto says, well, listen here. He wakes up, they both wake up, and he says, listen here, Hinata. I promise you I won't lose the killer. He says, I promise you I won't lose the killer bee. I promise you with all my heart. And she kisses Naruto. And I'm gonna say, he says, now get ready. And then Hinata says, she breaks the kiss and says, get ready, Naruto. And she says, breaks the kiss and says, get ready. She says, Naruto, you need to get ready for this battle that's about to happen. And don't focus on me. Focus on fighting, okay? As they're knocking on the door. And Naruto opens the door. And he says, that's the Raikage. And Naruto says, what do you want? If you're winning on that battle, then we're coming in a minute. He says, then we'll be there. I'll be there in a little bit. And sorry. And basically, Naruto says, I'll be there in a little bit. Raikage says, you have 3 minutes. You have 10 minutes to be on the battlefield. If you don't make it by that time, Killer B will be the winner by you being late. And he says, okay. He puts on his shirt and his pants like super fast. He picks up Hinata and he starts dashing out the door. He don't even wake Zabuza them up. And basically, they get to the court or to the battlefield, and he sees Killer B ready to like jumping jacks and stuff like that. They're ready, you know. And basically, Naruto says, "Oh man, this is gonna be a good battle. The 9 Tails versus the 8 Tails Jinchuriki. I wonder who will win." And the people in the crowd are like, yeah, go, yeah, woo. And basically, we see the partitioner, whatever his name called, person who started the fight, and whoever wanted, and he ended whatever time he want to. Yeah. So basically, he says, Naruto says, are you ready, Killer B, to get your booty handed to you? Oh, I already said 18 plus, didn't I? Cussing. He says, are you ready, Killer B, to get your ass handed to you? And Hinata says, Naruto, don't use that language. And Naruto says, sorry, Hina-chan. He said, sorry, Hina-chan. And, he says, now, are you ready to get your buttocks? Are you ready to get your buttocks handed to you? And Killer B says, it's more of the reverse. As the runner-up or partitioner says, start. He says, 3, 2, 1, fight. And once in Naruto, he says, I've been practicing on some sacred jutsus. And he says, he rushes Killer B. He throws like 5 kunai at him. And then he rushes Killer B with the Rasengan embedded with just a little bit of Kurama's chakra. Because he's still having like, got that oomph of Kurama. Because it's still there. So, yeah. And then, but it's like enough to like kill a human. Like it won't kill Killer B, but it would be able to kill a villager. A regular human. So yeah. So basically, Naruto, he like, yeah. And Killer B says, what is that? And, everybody's like, what is that? What is that? Don't even know. And basically, after he says, I don't even know. After everybody says, I don't know, we see, Killer B's like, cause he's surprised. He's like, what is that? And he's surprised. So he gets hit with it. I'm gonna say Naruto body flickers and hits him with it. And basically, Killer B, he says, yeah, as he falls to the ground. Then he gets back up and says, you're powerful. Let me stop playing games. And Naruto says, you weren't doing anything. That was my first attack, and you didn't even attack at all. So what are you talking about? And Naruto said, Killer B said, quiet. And he said, and he started waving some hand sign jutsus. And basically he goes into his one still T form. He says, oh, okay. Naruto says this. He says, okay. And basically Naruto goes into his two-tailed states form. He says, let's see who will win. The eight-tails Jinchuriki with the one-tails chakra cloak. Or the nine-tails Jinchuriki with the two-tails chakra cloak. And basically we see they're like just going at it like how Goku and Vegeta would, like blocking punches with punches and kicks with kicks. Yeah, but they still get bruised up and stuff. They still get like a few hits in. So basically he nods his chair. He says, she's like, go Naruto. I would say other people like, yeah, Killer B, whoop this kid. And Naruto, he says, enough playing games. As he body flickers behind Killer B, and he Rasenguns him in the back. And he says, you can't take another one of those Rasenguns, no matter what state you're in, or what form, what cloak you're in. And he says, I have a new move for you. As he starts charging up, he sees like a thing, a Rasengan like ball coming from Naruto's mouth, and Killer B says, what is that? And he says, this is what I call my tailed bomb. And he says, what is that? He says, let me show you. Or no, he says, I call this a tailed Rasengan. He says, what is that? He says, let me show you. As he shoots the tail beast bomb, and then he abuses it with the Rasengan, and basically it's like 2 times stronger than a Vermilion Rasengan. So it hits Killer B. I'm gonna say it now. Killer B, he's running, and then he tries to like dodge, and then the Rasengan hits Killer B's it hits Killer B spinal cord, back. And basically after hitting his back, basically we see the Raikage is like, what? Killer B. He says, this match is officially over. Naruto, you've won. And he says, Killer B gets up and says, no, I can still fight. And Partitioner says that, my bad. And Raikage says, sorry, Killer B, but the Partitioner already called the match. And Naruto, Killer B says, think it. I'll get you one day, Hinata, and I'll make you my plaything. As he licks his lips, and Naruto punches him and says, don't say that again, you big hormonal freak. He says, she's mine. Everything on her body is mine, and mine only to play with or touch. And Hinata blushes from this. and she started rubbing, like, well, she like hug her stomach. You know how them girls be doing in that anime? Yeah. She hugs her stomach, and basically, Naruto, he body flicks to Hinata, and he says, what looks like someone, and he kisses Hinata, and she kisses him. And basically, Zabuza and what's it call it, and Haku